Hi guys, welcome. Welcome to the well. My name's Emily. Thank you for being here tonight. Tonight we're going to have a conversation about detoxing our homes. So it's, we care so much about what we're putting inside of our bodies, and we don't always realize that our environments are really having a big impact on that as well. So we have 4 incredible speakers here. All of whom I'm really lucky to know and work with, and thank you for being here and for coming and speaking. Sophia's book is here, A to Z of Detoxing, so it's available for purchase if you'd like to purchase up front afterwards. I'm leaving these doors open because it gets a little toasty in here. We're working on the HVAC situation, but so pardon the noise, but enjoy.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for a beautiful setting. Thank you.
Amazing. Actually, sorry, I didn't even introduce you. Sophia is the wonderful author of this book, and she's on our membership committee as well. She's a founding member of ours, so we're happy to have her as part of the community. Lou is the CEO and founder of the Alchemist Kitchen, which is another incredible space in New York City and really needed. Dana is the founder of Prosper with Plants. She does a lot of in-home consultations. I think all of you guys might do in-home consultations, but you can ask them afterwards as well. And Jazmin is the founder of Pretty Well Beauty, which is an e-commerce clean beauty site. So all incredible products and really bringing to the forefront the importance of what goes on our skin is in our bodies as well. So thank you guys for being here.
Thank you for having us. Thank you everyone for coming out this cold evening. I'm going to be your moderator for this evening. So yes, just like Emily mentioned, I'm the founder of Pretty Well Beauty, which is it's a clean beauty and wellness e-commerce site where I curate the best of clean beauty and wellness brands. I just launched in January this year. And I also offer in-home consultations called the Clean Beauty Edit, where I do an audit of your personal care and beauty products and help you to understand what's in the products that you're using and help you to decide or decipher which ones are safe, which ones aren't as safe, and I help you to make a clean beauty swap. So I'm going to just introduce in this a little bit more detail, if you guys don't mind. So Sophia, as you know, is the author of A to Z of Detoxing, the ultimate guide to reducing our toxic exposures. Sophia is passionate about welcoming people to practical non-toxic living, and she helps people through her online detox academy, where her membership helps people detox their homes, indoor environment, drinking water, and radiation from our technologies. Sophia is also launching a detox deep dive that will help members with a customized roadmap to detox home, self-care, diet, and technology. So, thank you. And then Lou here, he's an accomplished specialty retailing brand strategist with a complementary digital experience in e-commerce and social media. He serves as the CEO of Evolver and is the creator of Alchemist Kitchen, which is dedicated to presenting the next generation of herbal and botanical remedies for health and wellness. He is considered the foremost marketing leader in the positioning of cannabis and sacred plants as a gateway for healing and personal transformation. And then finally, Dana Borne, she has always been passionate about the environment and embracing a healthy lifestyle. She grew up in an all-natural household, and she later moved to Aspen, Colorado, where she was able to connect to the outdoors. And finding it harder to find food and products without a long list of ingredients containing chemicals she couldn't pronounce, she developed an appetite for learning the potential toxicity of the chemicals in our daily lives and how these chemicals affect us, the environment, and how they're regulated and by whom. Through her discoveries, Dana launched Prosper with Plants, and she helps people to eliminate toxic chemicals from their homes. So, welcome. Thank you. So yes, just like Emily mentioned before, when we talk about detoxing, we think about detoxing, we think mostly about maybe eliminating certain things from our diets, or maybe even putting on a face mask that's going to draw out certain toxins in our skin, but we don't really touch a lot about the environment and how the toxins in our environment can affect our health. So I want to address a few ways with you guys that we can kind of help everyone to be able to take some actionable tips home that they can do that's easy. So firstly, toxins, they have the ability to present themselves in our environment in a lot of different ways, right? So Sophia, I was hoping that maybe you can share a few insights on how someone might be able to make, easy adjustments, maybe with like cleaning supplies or whatever tips you can possibly give, containers, things like that.
Sure, yes. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
So, how many people are pretty new to the topic? Okay, great. A few new people. So, it helped me to understand some facts that sort of create a framework to view this topic. So, I was shocked to learn that the EPA has estimated that indoor air tends to be 2 to 5 times more polluted than outdoor air, even in the most industrialized cities. So when I heard that, I thought, well, why is it so polluted? And it's mostly because of the things we buy, the building materials or how we furnish our homes and a lot of household products. So one simple tip is that when outdoor air quality is pretty good, crack open your windows to just allow fresh airflow, and that ventilation can just help decrease the indoor air pollution. And you do want to be mindful of allergens during allergy season. If there's a lot of traffic outside, it's not like you need to use some critical thinking, but that's a high impact tip. And second, and I hope I'm not taking any of your tips.
No, we share all these tips. I hope.
I'll just share 2 more, and I can always revisit for more.
There's so many, unfortunately.
I know, there's so many. And I had no idea that the bottom of our shoes can track in toxic chemicals and heavy metals, even pesticides banned decades ago. So simply having a no shoes policy in your home can reduce the toxic chemicals inside your home. So the EPA has a study that's sometimes referred to as the doormat study. And they found that if you have a large doormat at the entrance of your home and wipe the bottom of your shoes and leave the shoes near the entrance, it can reduce lead dust by up to 60%. So that's another really simple high impact tip. And then the last one I'll say for now is when I was studying chemical flame retardants, which are in many things in our homes like upholstered furniture and electronics and really a lot of things, researchers said the number one thing you can do is wash your hands often, especially before you eat. And these are really simple tips that like our grandmothers or great-grandmothers used to always follow, but I don't see that many people actually following them. So these are just modern reasons to do some old-fashioned things.
Yeah, and just in case anybody doesn't know what EPA means, it's the Environmental Protection Agency. Just a little acronym.
Does anyone work there anymore?
Not on behalf of the environment.
Just checking.
That's why we have to take care of our own health.
It's a little shade from the room. So we can talk a little about plants. So, we've heard of, like, there are plants that can help with clearing the air and detoxifying our air quality, Dana. So, this is obviously your area of expertise. What kind of plants should people potentially look for that they can incorporate? Do they need a lot? Will one be okay?
Right. So I printed out some pages of different plants because just to tell you the plants, maybe this will be a little more clear to you if you want to. And there's actually a code. So indoor house plants, there was actually a study done in the 80s by NASA. Okay, great. Yeah, so we could do half this way. Where they were trying to purify the air at the space stations, and they found through their studies that houseplants can purify the air of these dangerous, sometimes cancer-causing chemicals. All these VOCs, the volatile organic compounds that are floating around from the things that Sophia was talking about, such as your furniture, nail polish, things you clean with, and if you Google it, there's some you're always going to find some evidence to the contrary. And this is where these topics get so difficult. Do they really? How many plants do you need to actually help your home? Well, the fact is whether they work and they purify your air, or they just boost your mood, or they're supposed to be possibly stress reductors. To have a few plants in your home can't hurt. And on these pages, on the second page, there is a discount from a company in the city that I like very much called My City Plants, and she was kind enough to offer all of you a 10% discount off plants, and they have these self-watering planters. They're fantastic. I can't kill a plant. It's awesome.
I want some.
Yeah, and she is really great. She's got a great business for several years now. So definitely take the whatever I'm trying to say.
Take advantage.
Advantage of that, and some of these plants listed here that might go well in your home. So that's one thing.
Are these ones the Latin words, or are they
And
the?
the rubber plant,
Okay.
no, not easy. Chinese evergreen, spider
Okay.
plant, some of which we all know, peace lily,
Okay.
snake plants. Kind of amazing what they could possibly do. So that's one thing. There's, the air in your home is a very complex topic. The other thing along the lines of Sophia, what Sophia is saying is dust a lot. All of those chemicals are sitting on your electronics and on your dresser and on your coffee table. And if you dust, the more you dust with a wet cloth, the more all of those particles and chemicals are in the air. So really good, easy tips to start with to help you in your home.
Yeah, that's really great. I was wondering if you had any insights on any sort of the potential hazards that are surrounding not dusting, if there are any at all. Anybody has any insights on that? Because I don't dust hard at all. Like, probably not enough.
You should.
I know.
Well, the HEPA vacuum cleaner, so vacuuming with a really good vacuum will help with the smaller particles.
Mhm.
Air purifiers, a good air purifier will help cycle out some of those bigger particles. Yeah. What else?
Jazmin,
Yeah.
are you wondering about the health risks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For people who maybe don't dust as diligently as maybe we could.
Well,
to
not-
be aware of.
Not considering allergens. I was shocked. I always thought house dust was pretty harmless, and it was very motivating to read the studies on the dozens of toxic chemicals and heavy metals found in the dust, like lead and DDT and mercury and coal tar from like the pavement of roads, which is a carcinogen. And the list goes on. Like the book details all of this, including the science. I cite the science throughout the book, which is a very dorky thing to do, but as a critical person, I wrote it in a way that would have convinced my younger self, which was, I used to roll my eyes whenever people were concerned about the environment. I thought, oh, it's like not a big issue. And then when I became a mom, I cared about it in a different way. And so to realize the risks to human health is what really changed my life. So the exposures to dust just increases. It's not like if you're exposed to a carcinogen, you will get cancer. And it took me a long time to realize that. It just increases the risk that you're gonna your body won't be able to fight it. But we're exposed to carcinogens all the time, and our bodies are naturally fight them. It's just sometimes we're overloaded so much that our immune system's ability, or natural detox abilities just get more sluggish and can't keep fighting it. So I really just advocate unburdening what you won't miss.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying
That's
that.
cool.
What about cleaning supplies? We know that there's a lot of conventional cleaning supplies you can get at any major store, obviously, or maybe not. Those contain a lot of harmful chemicals that can affect our health. What are some alternatives that we can do? I know there's some DIY, but there's also a lot of companies out there that make these pre-made concoctions that are made of plant-based materials. Have any of you guys had any experiences with these types of products, and which ones you can recommend for people to be able to incorporate into their home?
Do you want to tackle it?
I actually do make my own cleaning supplies. Very simple ingredients, and I think I saw on your website, and I use similar ingredients. Simple white vinegar, and things your grandmother used to use. Baking soda. I have to be honest though. There are times I have to use bleach in my shower to get the grime away. I'm not perfect. I try to do the best I can, and like Sophia's saying, I'm trying to limit the amount of toxic burden my body has to fight all the time, and also small children or your animals around you. So I can definitely, if you want to email me or give me your email, I can give you that recipe. There's recipes in Sophia's book. There's several brands. There's something called Force of Nature that I like. Have you ever heard of Force of Nature? It's just this. They send you.
Yes.
It's the easiest
something.
thing.
Yeah.
It's electro. Like it literally, you fill it with filtered water, and it's a little tablet that it's actually liquid that you pour in, and it's like salt and water. And it spins it, and it lights it, and it becomes it actually smells like a quality of bleach when it's done. It's like 5 minutes. And it costs $25. It's the cheapest thing. You have a reusable plastic bottle that you use 1 million times. And it's called Force of Nature. But there's other ones, but it's natural ingredients that I like.
I think a lot of us would get concerned because we feel that we have to sanitize the home.
Right.
That's how you get rid
whole
of the germs. You
antibacterial.
sanitize. And so I think there's been, I think some of us are troubled because the green, the green movement of natural ingredients doesn't always we don't always trust that actually sanitizes. And I think many of us are looking for a context when you really need chemical, and how do you use chemical in a way that you feel you're really sanitizing, that you're taking care of space, and not just assuming that you can go so green, which is also a marketing conditioning that isn't always producing the results. And many of us are not going to be able to go to the folk, So isn't that a bit of the issues we have as homemakers? How do we find that balance so that when we have to use chemical, our eyes are, we're aware of what we're doing in a context that allows us to feel safer in terms of the home space.
Well, you raised a few great points, and I think, first of all, Dana, you also raise a really practical approach, which is you're intentional about when you use chlorine. And you've cut down on chlorine use so much.
Right.
So pat on the back for the reduction, and then when you really need it, you're informed about the risks, but the benefits are worthwhile sometimes.
Right.
And then also, has anyone heard of the hygiene hypothesis? It's a hypothesis that perhaps our need for cleanliness and to kill all germs has wiped out our microbiome of the good bacteria that we need. And so studies of children and probably adults who grow up on farms, they tend to have a healthier, more resilient immune system. So cutting down on antibacterial products is now recommended by forget which organization, maybe the FDA, and they recommend just simple hand washing with soap and water. But just being aware that we need exposure to good bacteria. And so sanitizing, as you were saying, is making our microbiome weaker.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, the body is such an incredible tool within itself that it has the ability to naturally fight off things. So when we're disturbing our natural biome and we're not allowing those, like some of those good bacteria to be able to do what they need to do to protect us, you're just wiping everything out. It's actually causing more harm than good. So
That's right.
my mom always told me that too. So
It's going back.
yeah.
I know.
She's like, you can't wash your face that often. Leave me alone. So, yeah. Let's talk a little bit. This is probably more of your world, Lou. When we think about, obviously, cleaning the home and detoxifying, we can talk a little bit about energy as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's...
You know, I'm into intoxication. How do we...
talk about a little bit like smudging, because, you know,
yeah.
how do we do it? There's so many different techniques that are floating around the interwebs.
Yeah. Well, we brought some.
Oh, you brought some?
Brought some little samples. I mean, the context today is, I think that at the Alchemist Kitchen, certainly our mission is to celebrate the power of plants. And we're living at a time where we all know that the grandmas had the medicine, and mom took us to the doctor, and that's been the last 80 years, 100 years, and we all have our desire to reacquaint ourselves with our indigenous roots, not at the expense of science and research. We need that. And so we consider purification. In the Alchemist Kitchen, we're very focused on medicinal remedies, botanical medicines, plant medicine, cannabis, all these plants that now maybe we can get reacquainted with as we live in a planet that's pretty endangered. We got lots of collective stress. So we really trying to connect to indigenous culture and without appropriation, because you have to be very careful today. Where is the sage? Where is it coming from? You know, where is this is braided sweetgrass. It's gathered seasonally. When you burn it, it's just remarkably, it's just a delightful scent. And it's intoxicating because it's sensorial. You know, one of the problems with cleaning and detoxing is, you know, you kind of, did you get it? Didn't you? You know, you kind of know when it's clean, but then how do we bring spirit through scent and sensorial elements, and how do we purify? So burning and having a bit of a ritual of burning. I mean, many of us maybe have some comfort with burning incense, you know, or if we're doing a bit of a prayer or meditation, we like to do that, you know, get that scent. We move into a new apartment. We have all these real estate brokers. We just give them Palo Santo, and that's their favorite gift to give to a new renter or a new homeowner. Or, you know, if someone has gone through a breakup in a relationship, you have to banish those spirits quickly. And you can really have a lot of fun with purification, and it gives you a great sense of self-worth, and all part of this kind of taking care of ourselves and having a better sense of worthiness. And purifying space is a great ally. It's a great companion. So the methodologies, of course, are quite familiar. It's very easy for people to find ways in which to purify. But the important thing, few tips, is one is some of these the real good stuff, you know, is very very seasonal, very freshly gathered. So you have to be careful today with certain plants such as sage. Sage is very popular. It gets over-farmed, and so one wants to be a little curious where that sage is coming from. Braided sweetgrass is not over-farmed, but it's very scarce. It's hard to find. It's very Native American primarily. It's grows quite nicely in Arizona, the Southwest, the desert. And
Would you use them for different things?
well, I think you can kind of be inventive. I mean, it's not like, I have a breakup, let me do the sage, and if I have this, do the braiding sweetgrass. Absolutely, we can pass that around. And then, of course, most people, are you familiar with Palo Santo? I mean, that's a very popular and grown, if it's grown sustainably, really lovely. This is more like burning a charcoal. You have to actually burn it so it then has a smoke, because the smoke is the smudge. So some loosely wrapped will burn much faster. The smoke is much more, gets out there really fast. There's you can cut a braided sweetgrass and put it in a little holder. The braided sweetgrass is just lovely. The Palo Santo again is more like a charcoal, like a brick. And there are many native plants that can be burned. And then for those who are a bit, this is another example. This is a roped incense. This is very native Ayurvedic, and India, where they have a lot of rope. They use a lot of roped incense. The rope has a fragrance from the natural plant, and you put this in an incense holder, and it burns much more slowly. So it's a little more like an incense stick, but roped incense is it's a bit more elevated in terms of its use. And this
So
is
it's the fragrance.
from
It's
yeah,
rope
this is
with the
juniper.
fragrance.
Yeah,
Ooh.
this is juniper. It's from the Himalayas. And then for those who are, I don't do that, you know. There are some great. This is a great mister, which is they take this one particularly is called Spirit Mist for grounding and clearing, and there are different brands that have them, but basically you're looking for the ones that really that the plant itself has been gathered, and then it's extracted into a tincture and into a mister, and it's really good, and it's very easy for use. You'd use this maybe in lieu of the air freshener for space.
So how does that differ, what's in there, how does that differ from putting like an essential oil in a bottle?
Not that much different, except that the spray, and the way that the plant has been extracted gives you, it really moves into the space.
This is more of a distillation
More of a
rather
distillation.
than an extraction.
Yeah.
So, and also to add on to it, where is it? The juniper, the ropes. It really is more, when it comes to purification, the smoke, think of it as a prayer going up to the heavens. And so the ritual there is that as you burn, you're offering your whatever you need to let go, or whatever prayers you need to share with God, to let it burn and let it, leaving it up to God. And then also for the Palo Santo, where is it?
The Palo Santo.
So the Palo Santo, the ritual around it is that as you burn, you walk around the area clockwise with the intention of releasing whatever the negativity is, but also you walk counterclockwise and you put your intention in. So there's the energy of taking out and an energy of putting it back in.
Yeah, the ritual.
The ritual of it.
So it's a cool thing because it gives you a way in which to align yourself with your own rituals, and you can do it in.
Tonight would be a good night to do it. It's
Yeah.
the full moon.
Yeah. Full
Yes.
moon tonight.
Yeah.
What moon is it tonight? Is
Well,
it-
full moon.
Beaver.
no, it's Scorpio.
Beaver.
Oh, yeah. No, and so these are nice things to know about because we shouldn't be timid or bashful about using these types of plants in the home to allow us to get in touch with what's bugging us today or where our energy levels are. And you need a detox. The more detox, the more intox. And that's really I think really the root of trying to find balance in one's private space, home space.
I have a question. When I burn Palo Santo, the fire goes out pretty
Right.
quickly. And so are you supposed to just do this ritual of
Walking. So it's more of as the smoke, you use the smoke to put your intention, instead taking that energy out and putting it back in. And so you're blessing the area, whatever the area is, so that to Lou's point earlier, if you have a breakup, just release it, and then you put your affirmations into the space itself.
The Palo Santo has to be cooked. If you think of it more like you gotta cook it like a charcoal, most people light it, they light it, and that's why it goes out quick. It goes out quickly
Yes.
because it's dense. If you cook it, meaning you give it a little more time. Once it's burning, it will go for a while, And I also think that it's also not just to banish the negative. It's very nice for setting the mood, for sensuality, for lovemaking. It's very, very, very nice for bringing the sense of smell back into the body.
It's also great for cleaning your crystals. If you do energy work with crystals.
Yes. Yeah.
Especially if other people have been touching them.
Yep.
Speaking
you
of,
put the crystals above?
yeah, so you'll just
the
hold your
smoke?
crystal and
Over the
put
burn.
the smoke will go,
Yep.
and you'll see it kind of encapsulate almost the crystal in a way. So
How many people here play around with stones or crystals? That seems to be,
sage
And
and
so
Palo Santo are both.
So when
really
you
great.
get plants going together with geological form, it's nice, it's really nice, and I don't have to have a lot of judgment about it. I think we're come out of this period, at least at the Alchemist Kitchen, where the energetics and energy healing and stones and kind of hippie and we passed that now because I think sophisticated, conscious people, collective that we are, we have to connect to Earth, and I think we're seeing people relate to stones and in a different way, and it's kind of interesting,
Yeah.
especially us that are having to deal with living in an intense urban, environment.
Right.
It doesn't have to be looked at like, oh, I don't believe in that, There's nothing not to believe in. It's just put your intention to it.
Absolutely, yeah. We have just a few more minutes. I just want to ask each of you before we open to Q&A, if you can just give everyone maybe 3 things that they can go home and do tonight. Start with Sophia if you'd like.
Sure. So back to the cleaning products question. If you haven't heard of the Environmental Working Group, then definitely check that out. It's a nonprofit that also is science-based, and they have wonderful databases where you could go in and type in the cleaning products you have, but also the personal care products you have, and you'll see a hazard score assigned to the product, which gives you an idea of which products of yours you maybe want to swap out. And that'll be a really good resource to also find healthier things to try.
You can even search specifically by ingredient too.
Yes.
So if you want to look for a specific product or a specific ingredient, you maybe don't know it, you can just type it in there. Like a Google search almost.
And they also have an app that you can download, so then you can scan the barcode, which is really convenient when you're at a store shopping. And we didn't really talk about this, but I'm going to mention it as a tip because I think it's so important to raise awareness about the radiation from our cell phones. And a really easy thing you can do is turn your phone to airplane mode before you go to bed. I'm going to assume you sleep with the cell phone near your bed, and I'm not asking you to not do that, but most people don't really need the connection, like they can turn the cell phone, the airplane mode on. And studies have shown that it can undermine sleep quality, so it can take you longer to fall asleep and your duration of deep sleep is shorter. So I used to do this free airplane mode challenge where people who signed up got a daily email over a week to learn a little bit more about the benefits of doing that. But the key challenge was to just experiment if you sleep better. So I encourage you to do that, and you'll just start becoming more mindful after a while of other opportunities to use airplane mode. Like if you're at dinner, you don't really need it on, and then your presence is enhanced.
That's great.
Thank you, that's great.
I'm going to do that. Do you have any?
Well, we'll give out some of this, whatever we have. We have enough that everybody have something to take home. We'll break this up. Yeah,
Break it up, sure.
yeah, just say a good full moon. Be with the full moon. So we'll break this stuff up and give it out to everybody. So
I think another thing people could do tonight, or at some point maybe this week or this weekend, is just take note of, as you get low on your laundry detergent, as you get low on your dishwashing liquid, maybe instead of running out and buying the next one, for one of those products or a few of those products, go to the environmental working group website or use it's a great idea. I actually didn't know that they had you could
I
scan.
just learned about the app. Yeah.
That's great.
It's
It's very easy. And it's not, I'm really into not just detoxing our bodies, but making sure that the products we use and the chemicals we're are going down our drain are good for the environment. So it's touchy, and if anybody wants to call me and have an assessment, we could go through those products and see what the next best, and your book, I'm sure, has tons of things, look in Sophia's book, and the next thing you buy, maybe it's something that's good for the environment and good for your body, so.
I would just like to ask, or add rather, reducing our plastic use as well. Plastic does have the ability to seep into things that we eat and drink. So being mindful of drinking out of plastic bottles versus glass ones, what we store our food inside of, that's something we kind of swap out pretty easily. You can use aluminum if you don't want to use glass, something like that. So.
Yeah. Do you agree that silicone, if you finish up using all of your Ziploc bags and you need the bag, not a glass a glass storage container, but you need a bag, then going out and buying a couple of these silicone, they're not biodegradable, but they can be recyclable, but you'll use, instead of you'll use hundreds of Ziploc bags before you would get rid of these, this one silicone bag, which is inert. It doesn't react with any of your food. It's completely healthy, and if you can make that decision to not buy another box of Ziplocs, there's a lot of different options out there to store your food and liquids too.
Thank you, everyone. Does anyone have any questions? We have a few minutes for Q&As.
Yeah, I just have a follow-up question for Sophia. So you mentioned the cell phones like at night. What about Wi-Fi, right? That's sort of being all over your own apartment and your neighbor's apartment.
Yeah. So I did an article for Well and Good on my Wi-Fi kill switch. So that's a great another thing to do. Most of us will miss Wi-Fi when we're sleeping, so turn it off. And you can also, some people can set their Wi-Fi routers to a timer, so it just automatically goes off at night and automatically comes back on in the morning. But I think the more you can reduce your exposures, the better, because we've never before been exposed to so many sources within our own home. It's also cordless phones and televisions and speakers and earbuds, and I mean, the list is just growing pretty rapidly. So if you don't need it and you don't love it, then maybe you don't have it. But when you sleep, I'm really a big advocate on trying to protect quality sleep at night. And distance is your friend. So men should not, if you're going to have the phone in your pant pocket, airplane mode, and make sure Bluetooth is off, because studies have found that it does damage sperm quality. And they're now studying whether women who tuck the cell phone in their sports bra are at higher risk of breast cancer.
That's good to know. Thank you. Does anyone else have any other questions? Yes, you go first.
I just wanted to ask about the AirPods. What's happening?
So, no one has studied it. Okay, so there's no proof of harm, and there's also no proof of safety. But there are theories that these are all different kinds of radiation, whether it's Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or cell phone or, the cordless phone. They're just different kinds of radiation that have different potential effects. It's all still being studied. But there's a theory that, at least with cell phones and probably the earbuds, that the constant radiation to your brain can weaken the blood-brain barrier, which is a natural material that protects our brain from toxic compounds in our body, like in our blood. And so if you weaken the blood-brain barrier, then the brain is more susceptible to other toxic exposures. That's one thing to consider, but there are many. It's so complex. But so I don't have them, and I would not let my children use them, but there's no proof of harm and no proof of safety.
Thank you.
You have a question?
Yeah, I just have a question in terms of environmental testing in, you move into an apartment. Is there anything where you can test radiation?
Yes.
Okay.
I've
Is it expensive? Is it something you
Yes,
can do?
and I really delayed. I mean, I thought, God, you think I'm really crazy for hiring someone to come measure. It's like, I don't know, a few $100s an hour, and it just seemed, I don't know if it was necessary, but for my personal reasons, I eventually hired people, and now it's been a total of 3 or 4 visits over years, because the exposures, especially in the city, change over time. New cell phone towers go up, new neighbors get new Wi-Fi routers, and it's always been emotionally difficult for me to actually hire someone, and then once the person came, I learned difficult things, but I was always glad I did, because there are little tweaks that could make a big difference. So I ended up creating an EMF detox program, which shares 21 power lessons of the easy things you can do before you hire someone. Right. You don't even have to hire someone, but these are easy things, like things I've already shared, or clear your nightstand of the cordless phones, little things that you can do without a professional. So if you do decide you want to hire a professional, then your value from his time is even higher.
So, but my question would be then, you hire the professional, they come, they tell you you're exposed to this, this, and this.
They come with a suitcase of meters,
Yeah.
and it's really amazing to see the meters quantify before and after things like my wireless keyboard to my communicating with my iMac. I never thought about that. And to see the before and after effects was huge.
But let's say it's beyond things that you can adjust. Like, I already don't have anything that there's, just because of the way my apartment is, there's literally no outlet even next to my bed. So nothing, there's like, I have one lamp that runs on an extension cord for the other room. Like, it's a very quirky New York apartment. But that being said, is there anything you can put into, let's say you have like your sleeping space to kind of block out EMFs, even without just making those small adjustments?
So this is such a complex issue, and I will just say it's complicated because, for example, like for those of you who don't know, there's fabric that you could like, if you've seen, like if you've gone to a tropical place and there's like a mosquito net over the bed, they have fabric like that you can put over your bed, so apparently you're in a Faraday cage to block out all of that stuff.
Well, that's why I'm curious, if you think about like if you think about like nuclear holocaust, they're like, go down to like a lower concrete space where there's lots of books and things to absorb that like kind of nuclear radiation coming in, and I'm like, maybe there's like some material that you can plug your walls in or this.
It's not that easy because like if someone forgets and there's a wireless phone in there, then
Sure.
it's just magnified.
Because you don't want to have that inside.
There are other complications. I would say if you're going to go that route, hire a certified professional to make sure you're not making things worse for yourself.
Yeah, there's always that challenge, I think. Sometimes you think that you're doing good, and then you I don't know, can invest in something that's like, oh, it's a water purifier, but then you learn that there's like major chemicals in the purifier. You're like, oh, great.
Clean the filter off.
Yeah, or you don't clean the filter,
Just drinking
and then you're just
toxic water.
Yeah, bacteria.
Yeah.
It's a tricky balance, I'm sure. But thank you. It's always good.
So what about we've heard about shungite as a 100% carbon, and you could put it next to your computer and all that. Is there? Are you familiar with it? Or?
I've read about that too. Yeah, as soon as I read it, I bought a bunch of shungite.
Is that a stone?
It's a stone.
It's a stone.
Stone from Russia. It comes from one volcanic source in Russia, and it's becoming very popular. It works too.
Yeah, and it's been studied like carbon as.
Well, carbon works as an absorber of toxins.
When well, first of all, scientists don't know everything, right? But when I do speak to scientists who study this stuff, I've been trying to work up the courage to ask about the crystals, the shungite. I feel like they've there's no scientist that would say, yes, that would work, that would protect you. One person said to me, I think it might even help you by strengthening your electromagnetic field to make your aura or energy field more resistant to it. And that's a concept I've come across through other people who are not scientists, but people who have experienced healing in various ways. But the idea that if you boost up your immune system, like through essential oils or other kinds of plant forms, that, for example, in a car, which is pretty computerized now, if you just build up your immunity, then you're more resilient, and that makes sense to me. Any other questions?
I do. Speaking of air purifiers, which one would you recommend? I feel like I get targeted on Instagram about molecule, like left, right, and center.
I just so curious other technology, because
And
they're
like-
the only ones who
right.
sponsored research on it.
Yeah,
So.
and I'm like this close to buying it, but like, is it legit? Like, there's so many air purifiers out there, so what's...
It's hard to know, and I've been through many, and I'm happy to share the one I use. So text me. I've signed up for my newsletter by texting 66866, and then enter code DETOX, DETOX. And then you should get a message back asking for your email address, and I'll send you a link to an article I wrote about the air purifier I now use and why. But basically, I never thought of, it's supposed to be more effective than a HEPA filter, which is designed to capture really small particles, but this one captures multiple times smaller particles. But it was the first time I heard of a purifier that addresses the bacteria and viruses that can get trapped in the air purifier, so they claim they have a technology to
That's molecule.
kill that.
Yeah.
And then this one, I haven't looked into molecule, but this one also has a commercial arm that services hospitals, including the Cleveland Clinic and another well-known hospital I can't remember right now, but I thought, okay, well, if it's good enough for the hospitals, I'll go with that one. But it's hard to know which one is
A big thing with air purifiers is cleaning and taking care of the air purifier. The best ones are the ones that you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, that's the one I want.
I'll tell you
that. I think you do have to take care of it.
Yeah. Regardless, you have to take care
But
of
you
it.
should
But
make
there
a
are
leap
some.
and get some. Start with something. I think
Yeah.
that's sometimes our biggest. So many of us have that issue of like we don't. There's so much out there that we just don't. We just become crippled by all the choices, so we don't even get anything. And I think, like you were saying about water, there's so many chemicals in our water, the tap water, in our tap water these days that almost no on-the-counter or refrigerator is going to get rid of all these, some cancerous chemicals. You'd have to get a very expensive, reverse osmosis, or maybe there's something else that I don't even know about. So just having something, at least you're getting rid of some of the bad chemicals out there. So I go for it, whatever. If it's molecule, do it. Or the one that Sophia has.
What about the charcoal stick in water? Does that work?
I'm not sure. I think everything gets rid of. When the EWG also has a water database, and you can plug in your zip code, and it says the top chemicals in your local water, and then it tells you what. You can also drill down a little further, and it tells you what water filter you can get to filter out most of those things. And it's pretty tough if you can't spend thousands of dollars on something. You can have a few different systems. If you have a more technological refrigerator, you can get a filter that has that filters out a few things, and on the counter. Just your basic Brita or something filters out a few other bigger particles. I guess you can have some attached to your faucet that might filter out a few others. So you can piece some things together and do a pretty good job without spending thousands of dollars. But I'm not sure. Maybe Sophia or Lou knows more about the charcoal.
I think charcoal works. I think you said it. Everything's in a certain context of how religious you want to be around the process. But I think having a mindset to do something is really good. You got to balance it with how much stress you have when you know too much about what
Yes.
If your water if you're not doing something with your water, then you're really that's worth spending some effort with your water.
Yeah.
But no, I think everyone has to. We're all in this to save everything. We need everybody, So we're all learning together. I think that again, you have to. This is an architectural problem. This is a design problem. It's an urban design problem. How it doesn't come. It's got to be built into the budget in the future. Hopefully, it will be. But I think we all need to just keep making good steps. And awareness is a really good step. Just being aware. Like tonight, I got some great tips from you guys. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks
Do
so
you want to
much.
say a little more about what you do in your website, because you're moderating, but you can get a chance to.
Sure. I mean, you guys will see these here. There's a little coupon code on the back for my website to receive a discount on your first order at Pretty Well Beauty. So, yeah, I mean, I thought I touched on it, but I guess, I have about 32 brands that you guys might know, some that are a little bit more up and coming, but the idea is to work with brands that are setting the highest standards in clean and sustainability. So when I'm considering a brand that I'm carrying, I don't just pay attention to the ingredients, I'm also paying attention to their packaging. Packaging, as I mentioned before, has the ability to seep into the products that we're using and consuming. So, and that carries on into our personal care and beauty needs too, because our skin absorbs about 60% of what we put on it. So, take a look. It's an exclusive code for the Well members. So, and you guys can always email me if you have questions. I love making personal recommendations. If you want to do an audit of your cabinets, I'm doing it for my friends forever, so I'm happy to do it for all of you. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out again tonight. Thank you, Emily, for hosting us. Thank you.
And I would be really happy if you signed up for my newsletter through that text. I offer a lot of free information. 668
Signing up for that.
Yeah, I have to read them.
Can you say it one more time?
66 866.
866.
And then the code is DETOX, DETOX.
Okay.